All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone because that's where I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahweh Shai. It's going to be a very quick video, to the point. Pretty much, I woke up, my rib, she had like called me up or whatever. And we was talking about like the 9/11 thing. But I didn't even realize today was 9/11, because I don't care about 9/11. First of all, 9/11, it was an inside job. You got something called the Illuminati card game, which pretty much, they pretty much let you know all their agendas, throughout those cards. But there's countless videos as well as little cartoons and TV shows that show you that 9/11 was an inside job. You had people that was calling out sick because they were insiders. They had the inside scoop. They were Freemasons. So they called out sick. The way how the buildings went down, 9/11 was an inside job. There was no airplane parts found. All right? The way how the buildings went down, it went straight down. Why? Because it was a demolition job. There was bombs that planted inside of the building. Now, did people really die? Yeah. But it's a false flag attack, though, because it wasn't an outside nation that caused that. It was America. It was the government. All right? So, people was under the illusion that, 9/11, that the Arabs did it, but that's not true. It was the own American government that did that. And it worked on the minds of you people. But something that I want to talk about is the fact that, I don't understand you people. Here you have 9/11, two buildings went down, and now you already erected another building. But wait a minute, what about slavery? All right, what about the so-called Negroes that died just to get over here? Let's talk about that. Because you have something called the Middle Passage. And they said that the slaves that they got from West Africa, which were Israelites, which the true biblical Israelites, the true Jews, the true lost 10 tribes of the nation of Israel today walking on the planet Earth in the flesh is who? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indian seed line that's scattered through the four corners of the earth, meaning they in all countries. All right? First of all, let's talk about the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It said that it was estimated that 2 million so-called Negroes, which they the true Israelites, that 2 million of them died just to get over here. You had our people jumping off the ship. You had pregnant women jumping off the ship so they could become shark bait because they didn't want to deal with the so-called white man, the biblical Edomites. So let's talk about that. How come we only get 1 month? Really, I don't even care about the month and all that shit, black culture, black pride, because we're not black. But let's talk about it. 2 million of our people was killed by these people you see on the screen. Why isn't that talked about? How come every year we got to be reminded about 9/11, but then when the Hebrew Israelites talk about slavery and the injustice that these people did to our people, why nobody want to talk about that? Why we got to get over that? All right? But you people can't get over 9/11, something that was a false flag attack caused by your own government. That doesn't make sense. You had innocent people lose their lives during slavery. All right, which we know it was prophecy mentioned in Deuteronomy 28th chapter. But ultimately, how come we got to get over it? All right, why the names of the slaves is not broadcasted on the television every year? All right, why we got to be reminded about 9/11 all the time? It doesn't make sense. What about the so-called Native Americans, the lost 10 tribes of Israel? which are the so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. When you read 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verses 40 through 46. What about the Trail of Tears? It said over 100 million Native American Indians was slaughtered to the point where there was a holiday called Thanksgiving, where you had 700 Native Americans that got burnt and beat to death innocently. Let's talk about that. Why their names is not being talked about? We the ones that build up America. We built America up just like how we built Egypt up. When you read about those pyramids in Egypt, it was the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians that made Egypt great. Any empire we in, we gonna make it great. But nobody wants to give us that recognition. People want to act like the Hebrew Israelites is the enemy. Come on, man. Then you'll have a massacre where Sodomites is shot in the street or shot in a nightclub, and now that's the biggest, shooting in history. What about what the so-called white man did to the so-called Seminole Indians and the Native American Indians, as well as the so-called Negroes? What about that shootings? It's not fair. It's not fair at all. And judgment is coming to you Edomites for what you've done, as well as all the 17 heathen nations in the Bible, Numbers 2 through 18. You're going to pay for what you've done to the children of Israel. All right? And when Yahushua comes back by the way of an alien invasion, he's going to take you out of power, and he's going to give the elect of the nation of Israel, the Israelites that repent in the name of Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua, that keep the faith unto the end, that don't accept, any other philosophy, as well as the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip implant. All right? So that's my point. What about our ancestors? Why our names is not being called? Why we got to get over slavery, but you people can't get over 9/11? People really died. Millions of people really died during slavery. During the time of 1492, when Columbus came over here, as well as after that, when the conquistadors came over here. All right? And they was rape, robbing, and murdering the so-called Hispanics, Native American Indians, and the so-called Negroes. All right? It's not right. So let me read these scriptures real quick. This is Jeremiah 15:5. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Nobody has pity upon us. What the hell they tell us? Get over it. It happened already. But fucking 9/11 happened in September 11, 2001? I was like 7 or 8 years old. I remember that shit when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. I ain't find out until later on. But, it's crazy. Nobody cares about us. But we gotta care about Sodomites, which the God of Israel, which you people, you claim you believe in God, he's against Sodomites. But y'all support Sodomites. Y'all support a Sodomite movement. The God of Israel is against feminists and feminism. But you support that, though. It's ridiculous. You people claim you believe in the God of the Bible, but you don't. You claim to believe in the Messiah, but you don't. We got to get over slavery, but you people can't get over 9/11, a fake event. It's ridiculous. And even up until this day, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians is still being raped, robbed, and murdered and taken advantage of. It's not right. It says, who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Nobody gives a fuck. All right, all this shit about reparations, they're not going to give us no reparations. It's not going to happen. Nobody doesn't give a fuck, to the point where our people, they got this bend over backwards mentality for the heathens. They have the mentality where if you can't beat them, join them now, because they already have given up. It's ridiculous. This is an ass backwards country. This is Daniel 9:12, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us, right? And the us is the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indian sea line that's scattered through the four corners of the earth, right? And how did he confirm his words? By the mouth of his prophets. Because you have prophets that prophesied things, and some of them actually didn't get to live to see certain things they prophesied about. But generations down the line, the things that those prophets prophesied about, it eventually happened. right? For example, I'll give you one example. Moses, right? The book of Deuteronomy, where it talks about the siege of Jerusalem, that didn't happen until thousands of years later. What about Joel, when he prophesied the blood moons? Reading on, it says, and against our judges that judged us, right, the prophets, it says, by bringing upon us a great evil. Why? Because ultimately we broke the old covenant. So anytime you break an agreement, you got to pay the consequences. You got to pay the fees. And that's what is going on with us right now. It says, for under the whole heaven have not been done that's been done upon Jerusalem. That's the point. We as the children of Israel, we are forced, and it's pushed upon us that we got to feel bad for these 9/11 victims. We got to feel bad for sodomites getting shot in the club. But what about us? None of you other nations, or there's no other event, that's happened to a group of people that's happened worse than Jerusalem. The situations and the way how our lives is affected and how we live our lives is way worse than what you people have experienced and went through. See, all you nations, you want to be like us, but you can't live like us. You can't go through the curses. Look at the so-called white man, the biblical Edomites. When they lose everything, they kill their whole family. They commit suicide. You people can't live in poverty. But anyways, I just want to make that point. I don't feel bad for the 9/11 victims. I don't care about 9/11. Whoever doesn't like the video, that's your opinion. You have the right to have your opinion. Shalom.